Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be colouring up this cute little image by Dea Lenihan from her book Penelope's Garden. Let's go in and have a look. Hi guys, so I've printed this one up on Express at Blending Card today. It is a grayscale sort of image, I guess. Some of it is grayscale and some of it's not. So yeah, I really like this image. It's come from, as I said, Dea Lenihan from her book Penelope's Garden. So I'm going to assume that this is Penelope here riding on a little squirrel. So we're just going to colour it with COPIC markers. I'm just going to quickly run through these colours with you, and hopefully you enjoy today's tutorial. So I'm starting here with the background. I decided I wanted to put that all in first and then move on to the remainder of the image. So we're starting with R20. It's just a nice light pink colour. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow into this later on at the end there, just to show a little bit of a sunset, I guess. But yeah, we're just going to pop in and go through all of the background first. So just while I'm doing this background here, the description below has all the links to be able to purchase the book if you're interested. You can also purchase this as digital as well as the hard copy of the book as well. So I'm actually going to at some stage be doing a little bit of a review on her other book, Colouring Dreams, so you'll be able to see that as I receive that. So yeah, if you do enjoy today's video, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and also you can come along and join our Facebook group. We are doing our weekly top 10, which I started a few weeks ago, so that seems to be going really well, and everyone loves seeing everybody else's work as well. So I'm quite happy to continue on with that, but I do need some images, so come along and join the Facebook group or post some images on my Facebook page. All of the links for these things are in the description below, as I said earlier. So guys, let's just continue on and watch the background being done. I've also done a conversion chart for markers to pencils, to Prismacolor and Polychromos pencils. Just keep in mind that the colours aren't exactly the same, so I've done my best to convert them over for you. If you find while you're doing a conversion like that there's a different colour that may suit a little bit better, then by all means please do change them over and let me know too. I can update the colour charts as well. So guys, I'm almost finished the background here, so I'm just going to finish that off. We're also going to put a little bit of this 20 into her cheeks as well before I go on and start the skin on the little Penelope. So just before I move on to the skin there, I'm just going to use some YR000 just to go over the pink. I just want to smooth it off a little bit and put a little bit of an orange tone into there as well. So I'm just going to colour the skin now. I'm using some, drop the marker there, using some E04 and I'm going in and just marking out all the shadow areas. So I'm just going around where any of the hair would be touching the face, anywhere where the skin would be darker. I'm going to blend that out with, I'm just writing the colours down there for you so I can do that colour list. So I'm going to blend that out with some E11. So I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and just extending that a little bit further out. So I've got that E21 next, and I'm just blending out the E11 with this one over the top of it and blending it a little bit further out. The next colour I'm coming in with is E00, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing as I did before, leaving a couple of highlight areas there for the E000, which I've got now. Now you could come in with a second layer if you'd like and just deepen up those shadow areas. Just going to come in now with some V colours and do the hat. So I've got V09 to do all the darker areas of the hat. I'm just going into the areas that were already pre-marked out by the artist, so they've already got some like little dotted lines there, which is like the grayscale sort of part of it. So I'm just going to blend that out now with VO6, so just coming over the top of that darker colour there and just making that come out a little bit further in towards the wider areas there. I'm actually running out of the VO6, so it was running out as I was coming through here. So I'm going to go to the next lightest colour now. I've got VO4 and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and extending this a little bit further out. So each time we come further out towards that highlighted section there, we're creating our shadow and highlights on the actual image. So we're creating that look of depth and three-dimensional sort of look by having darker and lighter through the image. So with the VO colours, they are kind of a pinky purple, so I've come in with some RVO2 to finish off the highlighted areas. I'm just going to use some blues on the outfit, so I've got B99 to do the shadow areas of that. So I'm just following the lines or the dotted lines that were already in there that showed the shadow areas. So I'm going to go in now with some B06 and just come a little bit further out. Now I've got some B05. I've got B04. And then finally some B02 to finish off those highlighted areas. I'm going to do some Y38 for the shadow areas of the hair. So because there's not a lot of hair there, I'm just sort of putting a couple of little stripes or streaks through that section there. And then I'm going to use the next lightest colour to blend that out. So I've got Y02 and just going over the remainder of the area. Just using a little bit more B99 on the bottom of the shoe bit here for the stockings and some VO9. Just alternating those two colours. It's quite dark so you can't really see it on the video there. And just some black for the sole of the shoe. Got some B06 for the eyes there as well. So that's the little girl done. I'm going to use some E77 here. Just marking out the little hats on the acorns. Then I've got some E33 and I'm just going over the top of that there for the lighter areas, kind of sticking to the left side of them. I'm going to put another colour in on the top sides there just to give them that little three-dimensional look as well. Got E31 there, and I'm just going over the remainder sections and just over the top of what I've previously done there. So I'm just using that E31 to fill out the left side of each of the bottom parts of the acorns. I'm just going to use some E00 to finish them off as well. I'm going to do the branches of the tree now using some brown. So I'm going to start with some E71 and I'm just going to go in over the top of all of the branches now. I'm not worried about where I'm putting it, I'm just laying it down all over them, and then we're going to just add in the shadows after. Okay, I've got some E79 and I'm going to come in underneath all of these branches where there's already been marked in a shadow area, and I'm going to go over that with this colour. So just coming in, working roughly, I'm not worried about having nice straight lines, I'm just following along the bottom shadow area and just filling that colour in. So I'm just going to come in over the top of that with some E77. So just going in and creating a little bit more shadow underneath the squirrel's feet and things like that as well, and just coming in over the top of the previous colour there. I'm going to blend this one out. I've got some E74 to blend it out with. So you can see it's given some nice texture. It looks kind of rough, and it looks like it has got some shadow areas on the branches now. So I've got E74, and I'm coming in and just extending that a little bit further, just leaving a slight area where the highlighted colour is now. So I'm working on the squirrel next, and we're going to practice our flicking on the squirrel. So I'm going to use some E39, and we're going to just flick lines out throughout the tail area. So I'm just kind of following the lines that were already marked in and putting some extras in there to make it look like fur. So all I'm doing is just flicking my marker out towards the top of the page and just coming into the shadow areas a little bit darker there, and just flicking up and out and over the whole area now. So we're going to go over this with some other colours to fill in the white space. So I've just swapped out my marker for an E37, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. So I'm going over all of the previous colour, and I'm just flicking lines out towards the outside section of the tail. So we're trying to create some texture through here by making it look a little bit like fur. So using that flicking motion makes it look like little streaks of fur flicking up out at the top of the tail. So I've just gone for the next lightest colour, which I had was E35, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing. So we're just creating lots of layers of flicks through there to make them look like individual strands of fur. And I'm going to continue now with E33 as well. I suppose I shouldn't call it fur, I think it is called hair. So there you go. Just finishing off the tail section now with that colour. So we've filled in all of the white area now. We've created lots of texture through there. So just going to place some more of that dark coloured marker. So I've got the E39, just coming back over the top just to put in a little bit more of the darker colour now that it's desaturated from the lighter colours on the top. So just not really concentrating on any particular area, just randomly flicking through in spots on the tail. So just moving on now with the E39 still, I'm going to start to create the same effect on the body. So I'm just going to follow the lines that were already on the picture. So we've already got a little bit of shading there. So I'm just going to follow the same stroke lines and flick my marker out anywhere all over the squirrel now. So we're actually going to create some hair strands and texture on there now. We want it to kind of look a little bit fluffy, maybe with a slight little bit of a shine on there in some spots as well. So on the areas that I wanted a little bit darker, I have concentrated and done more flicks through that area to create a little bit more texture and depth in those parts. So I'm going to swap over now and use some E37 to go over the top of that and bring them a little bit further out. So we sort of want to go over the top of them, and we want more further in towards the wider parts so that we're getting sort of smaller and smaller white sections as we fill in each color that we go through. So you can see with some of those strokes I've made them a lot longer than the previous colour because I wanted to fill in more of the body area. So I've got some E35 now, and I'm going over the top of that previous colour, and we're just extending this a little bit further out. So you can see now where there's little lighter patches of fur, which is still creating our depth and shadow and shape in the squirrel. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. So yeah, just coming over the top of it with this color. So most of the white area now should be starting to cover up, and then our last color, which was the E33, will come in and cover over the remainder areas. Great, so we've got our E33 now, and we're just finishing off the remainder of those sections. So just flicking over the top of the previous colour and extending that further out over the top of the wider patches now. So we shouldn't have any white left on the squirrel at all. Now I did actually miss a foot down the bottom there behind a leaf, but I do grab that later on. So we're going to move on and do the leaves. I've decided to go with autumn colours, so I'm going to use some browns and yellow and orange through here. So I've got some E18 first, and I'm just coming in and putting in some dark areas over the veins of the leaf. So just a kind of, I'm not even really dotting it on, but I'm kind of squiggling my marker along to leave some squiggly lines there. You can see some areas are just little dots, and some areas I've actually joined together and just done a bit of a squiggly line. So I kind of wanted to make it look a little bit like watercolor, I guess, by sort of flooding the color into it and filling this out nicely. I didn't want to sort of have lines and streaks through it where you can see the blending. I wanted them sort of to bleed into each other. So I'm filling out more of the leaf area now that I've gone over the veins, just sort of bringing this color out a little bit further. Okay, so I'm going to swap out now and grab some E17, and I'm going to put in some more red brown. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm just going to extend this further out towards the edge of the leaf now. Okay, I've got some E15 and I'm going over the top of this colour again. I sort of debated whether to leave this one out, but I ended up putting it in anyway. I think it just gives it a little bit more depth. Okay, I'm going to swap that out now. I'm going to grab some orange. I've got YR18, which is a real burnt orange, a real dark brown orange, coming in over the top of that previous colour and extending this further out. So I've just sort of left the edges of the leaves there with white areas, which I'm going to come in with some yellow and then a lighter YR colour later on. So this one's YR18. You can kind of do this in any order that you like. I think later on I actually swap and do the yellows first and then come back over the top with another colour. So whatever you feel is the best. You probably don't actually even need two yellows here. You could stick with one yellow colour in there just to put that lighter colour through. I've got Y17 at the moment and I'm just dotting it in, and as I said, I'm trying to sort of flood that colour over, so my markers are quite full, so they're nice and damp, which helps to release that ink out and give it that little bit more of a watercolour look. Got Y15 now, and now I'm using YR15 to go over the entire area. So I'm making sure I go over all of the yellow sections as well as all the darker browns. So we're trying to flood that colour on and sort of push the ink out and around to give it that watercoloured look. So I'm actually not going to chat through this bit. I've just sort of gone over the little bit of an acorn there because I slipped, the colour went out of the line. So I just used that colour I used in the acorn there, E31, just to push that colour back in towards the leaf. I'm going to do exactly the same thing now on all of the leaves on the page. So exactly the same as I did before, just going onto the following leaves. Now sometimes I do switch the colours around a bit and do them in a different order, but it all comes out the same in the end. So guys, there wasn't a lot to go through in this one because we've done the same thing on all of the leaves and just repeated that around the page. But look, hopefully you really enjoyed this one. There's not a lot left to do. I'm just going to put a little bit of detail on the image now by putting some yellows through the background and things like that. But yeah, this is quite a simple effect. This sort of dotting and sort of bleeding of the color in gives it that watercolor look. You could do this with lots of different things. You could do it with water. I love it on the autumn leaves. There's lots of different ways that you can use this one to create some beautiful images. So almost finished now. I'm just finishing off the remainder of these leaves, and then we'll go in and put some detail in. Okay, so that's done. So I'm just going to put some Y02 in, and I'm just going to extend this out and around all of the things that are on the page. So I'm just going to bring this out around everything and just got to give it a little bit of a yellow glow. So you can see I've also put that on the sides of the acorns there just to sort of give them a little bit of a glow as well, and just flicking it in and around the tail as well. So we've got these really nice sort of simple effects that can really make the picture sort of pop out, and something quite simple for you. So there's not a lot of technique involved. I'm just going to go over the top of all of the pink now just to blend in that yellow so it doesn't sort of stand out quite so much. It sort of blends in more with the background. And that's it. So we've just got the R20 now and just finalizing off the picture. I am going to use a white gel pen to pop a couple of highlights on. Doesn't really matter where you put it in. I quite like putting the white on. It makes a nice contrast and really does make everything stand out nicely. So just finishing off these last finishing touches now. I actually really like these images of Dea's. The actual colouring page, they seem like they're like a little sketch. So it kind of feels like you're finishing off a sketch or a drawing that was not quite finished with the colour. So yeah, I really enjoy them, and I just want to thank her for allowing me to colour the image and also for her wonderful books. So I'm just coming in, I'm just going to put in some details. I've just got some black to go over the eye a little bit more, make that stand out, and also a little bit of white gel pen next to put those highlights in as well. I use the R43 just to put a little bit of pink around the eye there as well. So I've just got that white gel pen, which I love. I was going to just finishing it off there, and I decided no, I'm going to put some more little highlights on and around the picture just to sort of make that picture stand out more. So all done. Thanks guys. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.